All right, guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, okay, I'm gonna try not to butcher this. We are gonna interview and kind of get to know
Tianna.
I knew I was gonna do that. Okay, if you guys recognize this face, this girl, everybody calls her Tianna, and it's
Tianna.
Explain it like you did.
Okay, so it's like Ty and then Anna, so like Diana, but with the T.
And then your last name is Weymouth.
Yeah, Weymouth. Kind of like Plymouth, but I don't know.
So if you've been calling her Tianna, you're saying it wrong.
I just don't correct people. I'm too lazy to correct people.
Oh my gosh. Well, and at some point it probably just gets like old. You're just like, nah, okay.
Yeah, like ever since elementary school, like every single teacher, so I'm just like, oh, it's whatever.
Whatever.
Like,
I guess my name's Tianna. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I went by that for some time.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially because is it spelled exactly like Tianna too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
with 2 N's.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to get her on here because if you guys are familiar with her, but if you're not, so she actually just started competing this year.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually got her pro card just a few weeks ago. And this girl, I know if you saw the Instagram, I said she was 19. I stand corrected again as her name. She is only 18. So if you guys are familiar with NPC, IFBB, the bodybuilding journey, the fact that she went pro in her first season is insane. But the fact that she went pro at 18, like, I wonder how many people, well, because 18 is like, you have to be 18 to even compete.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many people even have gone pro at that age.
Actually, this one competitor, she's been to the Arnold and everything, Ariel Kadar. She's 29 now, I think, but she got her pro card when she was 16 for figure.
Because juniors or what?
I'm not so sure, but
or
they
maybe
did
overseas.
change. I'm not sure, but they did change the regulations this year to be 18. But she was, I believe she's the youngest female, but that's for figure.
Got it.
And then what's his name? David Lade got his when he was 19.
And I know I don't think she competes anymore, but what was her name? It wasn't Brianna. I can't remember. She was a Brazilian competitor. I think maybe the regulations are different, like over there.
My dad actually looked her up now that you bring it up, but I forgot how to pronounce her name.
Yeah, and I know she got it super young, like went to the Olympia and everything, but she kind of burned herself out super young. So that's why she's not really competing anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, because of her like impressive accomplishments, I wanted to kind of get her on here and kind of chat about her journey, chat about what got her into this. I mean, at such a young age. I mean, I know at 18, I was definitely not living this lifestyle. So, kind of give us a little rundown of your background, kind of how you got into fitness. And
so, my whole life, I've kind of like been into sports. So I played like golf, tennis, track, swim, but I was never good at them.
Okay.
So like, I just kind of like played around with that, but I by all means was never athletic. So like in PE, I'd be the last one to do the mile. I'd like walk the mile. It took me 20 minutes. I never really like cared about my athletics or anything like that. And then when I was 12, I like started looking at magazines and like,
oh my God, 12.
Seeing all these fitness models and Victoria's Secret models. And then from there, it kind of went downhill. So I fall into like an eating disorder, and I had like anorexia and binge eating disorder. So I had to overcome that in middle school.
At such a young age, too. Oh my gosh.
And then I remember my mom and my dad, like, it was just hard for them, like, seeing me kind of let go of all of the things that I liked before. So then they were just kind of like, you're the one that needs to get better. We're not going to force you to get better. So then my dad was just like, okay, well, don't put that on her like that. Like, we need to help her.
Especially at such a young age. Like,
so,
you don't know what you're doing to your body at that age.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I did not realize that I was setting myself up for failure if I was continuing to starve myself, over-exercise, all that. So my dad was like, okay, well, we know that, like, you like to exercise, but let's do it in a healthy way.
Love it.
So he introduced me into bodybuilding, and
Is your dad a bodybuilder?
He lifted weights, but he's not a bodybuilder.
Okay.
But he was very into it.
Got it.
So he introduced me to weightlifting. He got me a trainer at 24 Hour Fitness, and then I started working out
at
there.
12?
At 13 and a half.
Oh my goodness.
So almost 14. Yeah, so then I started working out there, and then my first trainer, his name was Heath. He was like, you know, you should compete. You're like, you'd be really good at competing. And I was just like, like, I don't know. I just kind of want to do this for health first.
Yeah.
So
Good
I was,
for you.
Yeah. So I like had that underlining thought,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'd say about 6 months into my journey, when I was like back at a healthy weight, like better mindset, obviously, I started getting into like, you know, competing, and I was like, I kind of want to compete. Like I want to be in prep and have that discipline again, because it's like, you know, with an eating disorder, you want control, but something that a lot of people don't think about is with bodybuilding, you're not necessarily the one in control, because you can't control when your weight fluctuates, water retention, or like if you work with a coach, you know, you might want to go off your meal plan, but you have to follow it. So it's kind of like contradicting to my past with eating
It's like
disorder.
it's a new challenge.
Yeah,
like,
and it's a new type of control and like a new type of discipline, so I really wanted to challenge myself.
oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
that, like, just thinking about like your age and just that decision, and it just blows my mind, because at 12, 13, well, I showed horses growing up, so that's it's very similar, like as far as like the dedication, the discipline, all of that, but like I could eat whatever I wanted back then, so it's a totally like just it blows my mind and impresses me. I've told you how much you impress me.
Thank you.
So but your dad, and that was something I wanted to ask you too, because a lot of people that start competing young, the big thing for them is they just get so lean and they're just so small because they don't have that like muscle density. But like you, and that was one thing that just like shocked me, because when you were up on stage and you were getting leaner and leaner and leaner, you still had that like insane density that like a lot of people don't get until they're like in their late 20s, early 30s.
That means a lot.
And I think that a lot of that, now hearing your story, again, I didn't know her background as far as back as that. I just knew she just started competing. But the fact that your dad got you into the gym at such a young age, that explains why you already have that density.
Yeah, I initially started with powerlifting because, my coach Heath, he was just like,
was he local?
He was in Bellevue 24-Hour Fitness. He still lives here. I think he's the manager at 24-Hour in Redmond now.
Oh, okay.
But he got me into powerlifting, so we did squats, deadlift, bench. We just focused on like compound
I've seen your
movements.
squat, girl. She's got a heavy squat.
It's not there anymore.
It'll get back.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then he was just like, I don't want you to I don't want you worrying about your aesthetics. I want you to build strength, because at the time the protocol was to get healthy and gain weight. So he was like, powerlifting would be good for you. So he kind of educated me on like resting for like 2 to 3 minutes in between each set, just like allowing your muscles to recover.
That's where you're building that density. Like, and then and then as far as like nutrition goes in those days, because I know powerlifting, we do have some powerlifters that work out here. It's a lot different, and it's not as like, I wouldn't say as strict as bodybuilding.
It's more flexible, I'd say.
So was that like a pretty big struggle for you to get onto a normal nutrition plan and eating more? Like how did you switch your mindset?
I'll be completely honest. It honestly didn't switch, like truly didn't switch until last year, because I was subconsciously under eating. I didn't realize that you need a significant amount of calories to be at a healthy weight at a set point and like to truly build muscle. So I remember getting my Fitness Pal, tracking everything, but I didn't have a food scale or anything, so it was kind of like measuring by your eye, so it wasn't accurate. So I was like overestimating my calories and like my macros. So then I just kind of had to like, it was trial and error. I had to like experiment with everything, because I never started working with like professional coaches, minus Heath of course, until this year during prep. So it was just like kind of trying and failing and like seeing, okay, like I didn't eat enough here, my weight dropped, or I ate too much, I'm like holding water, this and that. So it was just like, you know, going back.
Well, and I feel like so many people too, like this is what I try to explain to all of my clients. They'll be in the gym and they can just be killing it and killing it and killing it. But like if you're just in there and then your nutrition is kind of subpar, and obviously like if you're just a lifestyle client, there's room for that flexibility. But if you're just out there eating pizza and like going to Chick-fil-A and just eating one time a day, like we were just talking about your friends, like you're just spinning your wheels in the gym. So I'm sure once you like started really focusing on that nutrition, that's when you really started seeing your body transform.
Yeah, because I was stuck at a plateau for 2 years. Like I wasn't putting on much muscle. Like, I was just, you know, like, I always trained hard. I always, like, I was educated about progressive overload and, like, you know, different types of tension, time under tension and all that stuff. But I would spend hours and hours in the gym, and I just wouldn't see results for 2 years because I'd come back home and I'd only eat, like, chicken and, like, 50 grams of this and that, and, like, I just...
You weren't refueling those muscles.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't eat before I worked out. I was scared.
God.
I was like...
Oh, and I know how that goes. A lot of people are.
I was like, I want to burn more fat, and that's not how it works.
No,
not
and
at
I bet
all.
once you started eating, too, you were like... You had so much more strength. You felt so much better in your workouts.
My
like, your
form
body
was
just
better,
felt
too.
better. Yeah, because you weren't as, like... run down and fatigued all the time.
I don't even remember the last time I, like, saw stars in the gym, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, once you start fueling yourself properly and, like, learning to take in advice from professionals and just, like, kind of come out of your biased thoughts, then that's when you really see results. You have to challenge yourself.
And that's a big reason why I started this, like, YouTube channel too, was because there's so many stigmas out there, and, like, I feel like people are starting to be more vocal, but I also live in, like, a health and fitness bubble. So just things that get put out there, like no carbs after dark, or no carbs before bed, or 1,200 calories. Like, even my Fitness Pal, if you, like, write in your information,
I know. They're like,
and it gives you your calories, it, like, I always tell my clients, I'm like, don't listen to that. Like, do not.
Listen to your coach or whoever's reputable and all that.
Totally.
It's that part, like, frustrates me because so many of my friends are like, you know, they're like, oh, we want to do this and that, but I'm only eating 1 meal a day and I'm only doing cardio. And I'm just like, that's not how you're going to build muscle. And so many people are scared to put on muscle too because they don't want to get bulky.
Yeah.
And
but then they want to get toned. And I'm like, well, actually getting toned is having muscle, but then getting the body fat down. So that's the toned look you want.
And, like, for me, I think of it this way. If you want to be toned, train like you're trying to get bulky.
Yeah.
That's
I'm still over here trying to get bulky.
Same
and I've
with
been
me.
training since, what, like 2011?
Yeah.
And that was something I wanted to get into too, speaking of your friends, because you are so young, and I know back when I was 18, like, my friends, even when I started bodybuilding at like 26, it was very different for them, for me to be going to the gym and prioritizing waking up in the morning and not going out and bringing my Tupperware to things and not eating specific. So how do you kind of balance that? Like, do you feel like you've kind of lost friendships, or like...
I have. So my very close friends are so supportive, but I'll say, like, not acquaintances, but people at school were just kind of like, she's, like, not living to her, like, she's not happy doing this. And I'm like, why would you say that? And they're like, because you don't actually enjoy food, like, eat a burger, do this and that. And I'm like, you know, like, this
probably makes you enjoy it more, because when you get it, you're like, oh, this is so good.
I'm just kind of like, you know, it's all about consistency and, like, doing things that will be sustainable. And, like, if you eat foods that you like, and they're, like, you know, for me, I really like salmon, sweet potato, rice. Like, those are just foods that I genuinely enjoy. Like, everything's sustainable if like, you know, you have consistency and you enjoy what you do. It's like, the food is the last thing that's on my mind. Like, all my friends, they were like, oh, are you gonna have a cheat meal? I'm like, that's the last thing on my mind. I want to go to the show, I want to give it my best, and then worry about that when the time comes.
I also hate the verbiage of cheat meal.
I know, it's just like,
because it makes you give this connotation that, like, this food is bad.
And it's
not necessarily bad, it just wasn't suitable to you and your goals at that time. So I always, like, when I talk to my clients, and I'm like, I want you to go out and eat something, I either call it an untracked meal or a free meal. Like, go out, get something you enjoy, but don't be a dick. Don't go into it with that mentality like, oh, it's a cheat meal, gotta eat it all even if I'm not hungry.
And, like, food is always there. That's the thing. It's like, you shouldn't, like, just look forward to, you know, living to eat. Like, that's just, you know, not to say that food is bad, like, that's not what I'm saying, but, like, you know, there's other things in life that you can look forward to.
And that's the big thing I tell people too, like, and I think this is something that, like, bodybuilding has opened me up to, because our society is so centered around food and alcohol. So, like, when you go to events, sometimes you get so wrapped up in, like, what's at the event, what I'm drinking, making drinks, and being in the bodybuilding circuit and, like, prepping and things like that. And when I started going to events, when I was prepping and not having the option to drink and eat, it really made me be present in the moment.
Exactly.
And
you learn
enjoy
to
the people around me.
No, that's so important because, like, truly this year, like, going through prep, it builds character and it makes you
100%.
find who you are. And, like, I've learned to just appreciate everyone around me even more. Like, you know, it's really incredible. And, like, you know, food, yeah, you can make memories with food, but being, like, talking to people, forming relationships, having connections, that's key.
And what do you think, because now that you've gone through your first, like, full prep, what do you think was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in the process?
That's a tough one. I learned so much, but, like...
Or some of your top highlights. It doesn't have to be just one.
Probably, okay, so I've always been insecure. I still am. Like, you can kind of tell by my body language, but, like, I always cared about what other people thought of me.
Same way.
And I always kind of seeked, not necessarily validation, but I wanted other people's approval before I ever made any decisions.
It's very common for women.
Yeah.
Very common.
And going through prep, I was just kind of like, I don't give any F's about what anybody thinks. Like, I was so into the zone and so dedicated. All of those underlining thoughts of, like, oh, what is this person going to think of me? Oh, who am I going to lose, this and that? That didn't matter to me. Like, what mattered to me was getting to my goal and, like, making sure that the people around me knew how much I cared about them and just having that balance. And, you know, all that was on my mind was just being a good person. And
good.
Yeah.
Good for you. And, like, the reality is, like, if the people around you don't support what you're doing, then you don't need them around.
No,
and it's probably a better thing that it helped weed them out.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I've talked about this a few times on this channel. Like, my circle has changed significantly since I started bodybuilding. And now, like, just because of the lifestyle I live, the people I attract are very similar people.
Exactly.
Yourself, everybody in there, everybody that goes to BodyShop.
And
like,
this community is amazing. You meet so many people.
Community support. Like, you just end up being around people that are similar to you because you are living that lifestyle when you start putting yourself first.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I love this community so much. I've made hundreds of friends. Like, I've just people have introduced them to me, like, all that stuff. Like, it's
you're so supportive right back. Like, so supportive.
Like, it's just amazing that there's this army of people that just their beliefs align with both of our beliefs, and it's just amazing to be affiliated with that, you know.
I know, and we're so glad. Like, she doesn't train here every day, but even during your preps, you were coming up on Saturdays and, like, training with John, and then she was doing her posing here, so it was really cool to, like, see your evolution, especially from, like, Emerald Cup in Vancouver to when you, because I know you made some coaching switches there, and we don't have to get into that, but, like, you should go look at her Instagram because her physique changes just through the season were, like, insane. So I know a lot of people are going to want to know, since you did you do 4 shows?
Yeah, 4 shows.
4 shows. So she got her pro card. She did 2 regional shows, and then you did Junior USA's, Junior Nats, and you won your class.
Yes.
And then now I know everyone's going to want to know what's next. Do you have a plan?
My plan right now is to grow because obviously I'm so young and, like, I want to be in this sport for the long run. So with that there's a lot of improvements that I have to make, you know, physique wise, posing wise, honestly, confidence. So giving myself that 6 to 8 months to really just nail everything because I don't want to do my pro debut unless I know I'm 100% ready. And, like, if I were to do it now, I wouldn't be confident. Like, I'd be scared.
I love hearing that too because I mentioned earlier, like, I've seen a few pros that get their pro card and then they want to go straight into their pro debut, and you are still so young. You have so much future ahead of you, but they just burn themselves out.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that because I love this sport so much. And, like, before even going to junior nationals, despite, like, the outcome, I already knew that was going to be my last show of the season because I knew the improvements that I needed to make. And I just wanted to grow as a person as well. And
I think that goes for, like, any goal, whether that be getting on stage, anything like that. Like, do it in a way, and you've already used this word, and I use this word constantly, do it in a way that is sustainable.
Yes.
It's not about having this weight loss goal and living this way while you're losing weight and then going back to living a different way once you get there. It's about creating habits and building habits that create a new lifestyle that you basically live year round. Yeah, you may be eating more here, doing a little more cardio there, like, but it's a lifestyle. So the changes aren't huge or disrupt you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
and you
adapting.
Can balance that with everything too,
Yeah.
which is like key. Because you know, my close friends, they are gym rats. Like my friend, he does powerlifting. My other friend is CrossFit. So it's like I have that group of people, but like if you can balance like what you do every single day with all of that, then that's like the perfect recipe.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, since you are 18, did you graduate this year?
I did. I graduated 2 days.
Full year.
2 days before 24 hours before I got on the plane.
Oh my God.
To junior nationals.
Talk about a few 48, because how long did you go down in between, or like ahead of time?
What do you mean by that?
So you flew down how many days ahead of before you got on stage?
14 hours.
Okay, so that was a good like 48-hour time period for you.
I remember after graduation, my mom and I were like, okay, our flight leaves in 3 hours. You have to go do your pump up at the gym. I will get the bags ready.
Oh my God, I love hearing because I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with too, is like even just like not just parents, but like support from their family. And it just sounds like from the beginning your parents have been there,
absolutely
super involved. So what would you say to people that may not have like parents or friends or just people around them that are as understanding with the lifestyle? Like, do you have any advice for them? Or
honestly, I do. So, you know, it feels like you're alone at times, you know, despite all the people around you that you may or may not have. You kind of have to keep in mind all you have is yourself, but you also have your goal, and you kind of have to treat your goal like another person. And for me, you know, back when I kind of lost trust from my parents and my friends back in my eating disorder days, and I had that goal, I just remembered, like, you know, keep working towards that goal, but also kind of have to prove to the universe how badly you want it by just like putting that drive that you have into this goal into every aspect of your life. And like, you know, if you don't have that support system around you, just know that like everything that you're working towards will pay off. Like hard work does not go unnoticed. Like that's just how the universe works. And like I truly believe if you're a good person, the universe rewards you. So just stay true to who you are.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, I think one last question I'm going to wrap up with is just, and you have already said so many great pieces of advice, but if you have someone that is working towards a goal, whether that to be on stage, whether that to lose weight for their wedding, whether that to just like feel a little more comfortable in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Because we all go through those times that are like super hard and discouraging, but what is like your biggest piece of advice to keep going when you have those rough days?
Honestly, I'd have to say don't rely on motivation. Rely on just like trying to improve this much every single day. Like for me, I wake up and I'm like, okay, you're gonna do one thing that challenges yourself today. It doesn't have to be huge, but just something that gets you out of your comfort zone. You just kind of push yourself. You know, if you're not motivated one day, instead of like trying to beat your previous like PRs or anything like that, or like your previous goal, just like think about what you can do in this time to really like maximize the progress that you can make. So like, for example, if I didn't feel like going heavy that day in the gym, I'll lower the weight, but I'll do extra reps or like more volume, just find workarounds. But like the fact that you show up and you're trying, you know, that's all that matters. Just try.
Yep. Keep trying, keep going. We all, and like everybody has those hard days. I feel like when you get hit with those hard days, it's easy to think like no one else deals with this, but everyone does. I do, she does. I mean,
and just like envision, like for me, I try to speak my words into existence. I talk to myself a lot.
Like visualization, manifestation.
It's kind of like corny. Some people think it's
not.
funny.
I think it's,
but
and I think it works.
I think it does
like,
too.
Like you're not the only person that talks about it.
I like talk to myself and I like try to motivate myself, and I talk to my grandma up in heaven and like everything. That. And I'm just like, you know, if I don't have anyone else to talk to, I just talk to them, and they know how hard I'm trying. So it's just like, even if you don't believe in that stuff, just like talk to yourself and be like, okay, what do I really want? What do I want out of this?
Yes. And
just try, just put all the effort that you have into it, and you know it's gonna pay off.
Yep. I love that so much, and I am so excited to see where your journey goes. Like, I'm so glad that you've become a part of the community, and I'm excited to see.
I'm so thankful,
and we're thankful for you. She's so uplifting. I mean, you guys, And just like the way you carry yourself at such a young age, it just like, it blows my mind. So since you just graduated, are you going to college?
Yeah.
Are you going to focus on something in the health industry, or do you know what you want to do?
I really want to write a book. It's been a dream of mine since I was like 8. I've always wanted to write a book, and I want to write a book about not necessarily like bodybuilding, but just like speaking your goals into existence, and kind of not necessarily like manifestation, but just like a positive outlook on the world.
Yes.
And kind of like self-improvement theme, kind of
I
like
love that. And if you
Mhm.
need, because I am like all about that, and that's like one of my biggest like challenges for myself this
Mhm.
year, is to like believe in myself as much as
Exactly.
everyone else does.
I'll be honest, I didn't believe in myself up until my very last show.
Yeah.
Like, you really need to believe in yourself, and it will happen.
And I just made a post about this, like,
Yeah. I know.
I don't
that.
think you'll achieve anything until you truly believe it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I've always done like pretty well in my competing, but
Mhm.
like, I've never truly believed that I could
exactly.
win the overall, or which
I've never won an overall.
I've been in 4
Yeah.
overalls, taken second every time, and I
Wow.
truly think that it's because I hadn't fully believed in myself yet.
Believing
So like,
in yourself is so powerful, and it takes you very far.
well,
Mhm.
we believe in you,
Thank
and I would love to read that book when you do come out with it. Even if I'm super old, I would still love to read it. But
I want to come out with it soon.
really?
Mhm.
So
I
what would you say, like?
I'm gonna start writing it here pretty soon, because my major, I changed majors impulsively. So I'm doing business marketing and
Okay.
journalism.
That's
so
what I
like,
majored in.
really?
Well, business marketing, not journalism.
oh, that's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to ask your
Yeah.
advice on that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But like, there is a project that we have to do for journalism, like that
Okay.
major. So I kind of want to try writing it like while
started,
doing that
yeah.
project, which is like in a couple weeks, and see what happens from
Well,
there.
if you need a proofreader.
Oh, please.
And
yes.
then stay tuned. If she comes out with the book, we'll definitely post about it, because
Yay.
that's something I would want to give to all of my clients. Because
Yay.
that's like something I like. Mindset is so huge.
It is.
And a lot of people just think it's diet and exercise,
No,
but
not at
it's
all.
the full package.
Mhm.
So,
It's what's up in here.
yes, yes. Because the body follows the mind.
Exactly.
And we're going to leave you with that. So thank you so much for joining
you
us.
for
And if
having
you guys
me.
have any more questions for her, go ahead and leave it down below, and I will send them over to her. But other than that, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
See ya.